Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors, and this is my podcast and YouTube channel, helping other people evolve. Tonight, I have the pleasure of interviewing Andre. How are you tonight, Andre?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for jumping on here with me. You're in South Carolina, right?
I am.
How's the weather down there right now?
You said, what is the weather down here?
How is it?
Hot.
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 Yeah. Humid?
Very much so, especially today. But it's a good thing, though, right?
Yeah.
We rained all last week, so today was definitely good. Past couple of days were definitely good. Yeah.
Yeah, like I told you, I'm going out to Utah next week. So I was looking, and it's going to be 99 to 100. But I Googled to see what the humidity is, and it's 4%. And I was like, okay. So it will be more like 80, like it is here when it's 100. So anyways, you guys, I'm so excited to interview Andre tonight. I always tell you guys, I meet people, whatever you want to believe. I believe God, the universe, whatever it is you believe, but God always puts people in my life. So I'm a big TikToker. I love following people on TikTok. I watch people on TikTok, and I listen to people on TikTok. And I've been watching Andre for quite a while. Actually, I think I messaged you back in October about this, and I'm sure that, people get a lot of messages. So anyways, I've been watching you, and I saw that there was some inspiration there. I saw that there's been some things that you've probably been through. And I was like, man, I just really hope that he will be on Hope. And here you are today. So I'm super excited. Like I tell everybody, you're stuck with me forever now. I'm your friend. And whether you like it or not, usually people don't mind me being their friend though. So so anyways, anybody that has not been on Hope yet, just so you know what my mission and vision when I started Hope is just to let people know that they don't struggle alone, especially in the last 3 years since 2020. I know so many people are at home, so many things are going on, and these struggles just seem like there's nothing they can do and they can't get through their day, and they're all alone. Well, I interview people that unfortunately have been through some struggles, like some real struggles, but they've been able to get up, walk outside, and just figure out how to get through life. And that's what we try to help you do in this. So today, Andre's going to share with us his story. And here's the thing that I know about this is mental men's health month. Or men's mental health month, I guess is the way I should say it. I'm a little dyslexic at times, but this is a perfect opportunity to talk about what you've been through and how you've gotten it and how you've overcome it and how you're able to walk outside. And hopefully somebody will hear your story today and they'll be able to be like, oh, Andre got through that. I can walk outside today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I just want to say, Ms. Tammy, it is an honor and a privilege to actually be a part of your podcast.
Thank you.
I am excited that you even paid attention to my TikToks. I started off doing TikTok, as a way of just unleashing my inhibition, right? You know what I mean? Just to have fun. It was a new thing. I know that there were so many things inside of me that I just wanted to just kind of have fun, but it was a distraction. And I think just like anybody else, especially during the height of COVID, TikTok served as a distraction. And I guess it kind of took wings for a lot of people. And I mean, a lot of people have a lot of followers. I get on and do things for a different reason. And what I started tracking was my journey, because one of the darkest moments of my life was going through a divorce.
Okay.
But before the divorce, I had issues on my job, my career. And so simultaneously as my career was struggling, I was going through stuff at home. So at work, at home, at work, at home, and I started to spiral out of control. Like my mind started to go to the left, and I started to fall in a very dark place.
Okay.
I've been with someone ever since I was 16, right?
Okay.
So from 16 to 39, all right, that's a long time. And you invest so much, not only in that person, but every decision that you make, every choice that you make, you try to make sure it benefits that person. Now, sometimes it don't work out that way, because for me, I understood that starting at 16 up until the age of 39, the growing that we did was together. Okay. And sometimes when you grow with someone in a situation, you don't learn how to grow for yourself.
Yeah.
So you end up losing yourself. And I lost myself. And the more I spiraled out of control, I felt accountable for how my marriage decimated.
Okay.
Okay. And I continuously put that blame on me, and I continuously just try to make it work, but I force feed a situation that never should have been fed.
Mm-hmm.
So during the time I was going through that, I remember hiring a young lady. Okay, out of the blue, this lady calls and she's like, "Hey, I need a job," and we were looking for drivers. I run a transportation company, and we were looking for drivers. And she came in, and I interviewed her. I hired her. Next day, she comes in. I'm reading a book. This is how bad it was. I was searching so much. I was reading a book called Manifestation. I was thinking I could manifest my marriage to work and manifest a better environment for myself, right? And she's like, "You reading that?" I was like, "Well, yeah, And she introduced me to a spiritual father that she calls a spiritual father, and she FaceTimes him and gives him my telephone. It gives him the phone, and he looks at me. He takes one look at me, and he says, "You need to call me. I can see it."
Mm.
And and so one night I decided to go to Florence, South Carolina to that's where the mall is. And I was going to get a Bible.
Okay.
And when I got this Bible, temptation, as I was going, here comes temptation, right? So out of the blue, this young lady wants to talk to me, and I'm like, I'm not really paying no attention. But then I'm going through the struggle. My mind is everywhere. And she's like, literally, "Hey, you can come hang out with me. Come hang out with me." And something tell me no. Something just said no, no, no. And something says, "Hey, call the guy. Call the pastor."
Mm-hmm.
I call him as I was driving. I call him FaceTime because that's how he wanted to talk. And he says, "Pull your car over right now."
Mm.
So I pulled over into a neighborhood Walmart. And for 2 hours, this man prophesies to me. And not only that, he tells me, whatever you are about to do, whatever you think you're going to do, you are not going to come back from that.
Mm.
And he said, "I am your last hope. We have to change you because you're in a dark place."
Mm.
And so he stuck with me through thick and thin. And first thing he did, and this is the thing that men have to understand, in order to elevate anybody, not just men, women too, to elevate yourself as a human being, you have to literally let go your pride and your ego.
Mm.
He broke me so bad. He broke me to the point that the only thing I could do when he called me was listen.
Okay.
And so he tells me what to do, and he said, "This is what's going to happen." He said, he said, "God said that your wife is going to leave. Don't be alarmed. Don't flip out." He said, "Because you asked for that. You asked God, if this is not for me,
Right.
take it."
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I did. And so that's the key. Do not ask God for something that you ain't ready for.
Right. That's true. That's so true. That's so true. Can I stop you real quick for just a second?
Sure.
So when you're reading this manifestation book and stuff, and you're trying to keep your marriage together, right?
Right.
Now, did you think that you were in a dark place right then? Or were you
Yes.
just trying so hard just to fix your marriage?
I was
Just
still in a
see
dark
what
place.
you were doing wrong,
I
basically.
was in a dark place. I was in a dark place. I was in a dark place. All right.
Okay.
I was in a dark place because even after, just before, during the week that she left, it was the same week. Even though he was talking to me, I remember jumping in my car late at night. And this is probably the first time I've ever shared this with anybody. Late at night, I went down a dark road. All right. It's called Wilson Chapel Road, right? Irony in the name. I get out the car, and I have a pistol. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And um I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No,
I
it's
have
okay.
I have a pistol, And I said, I'm done.
Mhm.
Okay. I said, I'm done. And I said, Lord, if you are even near right now, if you're here right now, I
Mhm.
need to hear you. I need something.
Mhm.
And the wind started blowing.
Mm.
It seriously started just, the breeze and everything. And I fell to my knees in the dirt.
Mhm.
And at that point, I gave up.
Mm.
And when I say I gave up on doing it myself.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
turned everything over to him.
Yes. I want to share a little bit with that because, people don't get it until they get it, right?
Right.
And so when you hear somebody say that, a lot of times people are like, oh, okay, right, sure, that's what, and you're like, yeah, like I had another girl I interviewed. She was in her bedroom. Her husband and two boys went to the store, and she was in the bedroom and had a gun to her chin, and she prayed. And I can't imagine. I don't remember exactly what happened, but the same thing. And that was it. She completely changed, not by herself though. And it's the same thing that I can relate when I quit drinking that day. I'll never forget it as long as I live, because I was looking out the window. My dad had passed away when he was 34, drowned in our bathtub. And I saw him in the morning. So here I am, alcoholic, blood alcohol, like 0.399, pretty close to dying. And my son, who's 12 or 13 at the time, is sitting in his bedroom. I'm going to die within a month, I feel like, if I don't quit the bottle. And I did the same thing because I didn't want my son to ever find me like I found my dad. But I did the same thing you did. I got on the floor and I screamed and I yelled and I cried and I said, God, you have to help me. And that was when the whole ripple effect started, And so for you sharing that, thank you very much, because I know that people, when I say it, they're like, oh, okay. But I don't love hearing somebody else share it, but I do, because at the same time, I tell people, man, just hand it over. He's there.
Yeah, it is. And the one thing through my journey spiritually, right?
Right.
And having this gentleman like literally have coached me through everything. He
Mm-hmm.
said, look, your job is going to get better. Don't even worry about that. You're protected. You keep the one thing that I tell people in life that's essential, right? Is mind your business,
Mm-hmm.
pray,
Mm-hmm.
fast.
Okay.
When you fast and pray or pray and fast, it does something different
Mm.
because you're sacrificing your desires and you're literally saying, this is all on you, God. I am doing this for you because the sacrifice that he made was for the love he had for us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
for
when we
sure.
turn around and give the sacrifice of us to him, it
Yeah.
shows our love.
Mm.
And when as I don't have any kids, so but as myself as a son, when I
Mm-hmm.
show my dad love, my
Mm-hmm.
dad opens up the world for me, right?
Right.
So when I show that love, that same love to God, he opens up, right? And
Yeah.
I've accepted and I am grateful for the things that he gives me that I need until I am fulfilled in that aspect. Then he starts to give me what I desire.
So good. So good. That's so good. I'm glad we went there with that. So let's go back to you talking a little bit about like letting your ego down and your selfishness down and things like that. Because I know
Absolutely.
that's a big thing. And I think we talked a little bit the other day when we chatted a little bit. I mean, we all have our egos, right? But
Absolutely. Yeah.
how are we using that ego is probably a big thing.
Yeah. Well, I think what we do is we listen for we listen to respond instead of listen to understand.
Mhm.
you know and when we utilize our ego, it's not even about the other person. It's all about us. We don't
Mhm.
like to do this way, we don't like to look this way, because there's something that, whether it's in our past or our childhood, or what we've learned and picked up, that says, I don't want to feel vulnerable,
Mm.
so I got to develop this wall, and I don't want anybody to tear it down, so I attack back, or I don't want to ever feel small to anybody.
Mm.
Here's the thing: when you let go of your ego and your pride, and you're able to listen to someone, and they can go off and say whatever. Ego and pride allows you to have more of a discernment, but the main thing is discipline and self-discipline, right? And now you can listen thoroughly, and you don't have to do it to respond, but you listen for clarity and understanding. Because the way Miss Tammy might say something to me, if I just go off of the tone and how she said it, instead of really being in tune to who I am and say, okay, let me hear this out. So, okay, she's upset because I did this. Instead of us going back and forth in an argument. So letting down your ego allows you, and your pride allows you to visualize and see things much more clearer than you would if you did.
Yeah, that's so good. And the thing is too, I've always heard this saying, like, God gave us 2 ears to listen and 1 mouth. There's a reason for that. Right. And that's so true. I can remember when I was like probably pretty low on my self-esteem and things like that. And I always had an answer for anything anybody ever said to me. And I always like debated it or had an excuse or had this and that. And we're now with my growth, I don't do that anymore. It's the same thing like what you say, now I listen, and then I'll figure it all out in my head, whether, whoever it is, but it's not, now I listen instead of responding all the time. And and now I see it in people. Like I'll be talking to somebody and they're always like an excuse, or somebody else did it. It was somebody else's fault. And I'm like, hold up. I wasn't saying anything, especially I was in leadership at the casino where I worked. And if I would try to correct or do anything, man, and I'm like, okay, hold on. I wasn't doing anything like that. But it's just that because that's kind of, I think a lot of our society is like that.
Right.
They don't know
the funny thing about what I went through was the fact that you would think that after being with someone for so long that, you guys could split and maybe amicably, and just, okay, you go your way, I go mine, and handle it as adults. It didn't go out that way. I mean, when I tell you that, and I don't want to talk against her at all, but, because I have respect for her, you know what I mean? Sure. But you can tell the tables turn, and there was I want to stick it to you, I want to get you type of moment. And the whole time, you hear rumor, because we're in a small area, right? Small town. So you hear the rumors of why, of this and that. I think I abused her. I hit all of these things, and not once. And if anybody say I did, they're lying, because I can tell you, not once that I responded to that. Not once that I lashed back out. Right. That was because I had resource. I had someone to say, I forbid you, don't do this. God is not going to do this. God is not going to do that. And the crazy thing about it is, as you start to unravel yourself, you really start to understand who you truly are. And when you start to understand who you truly are and how you create it, you start to realize there's certain things that you can't do. And if you do it, you're not being your authentic self. So true. So there was nights I wanted to curse her out. I wanted to curse her name. I wanted to just say, just curse. I was so upset because every time I wanted to do it, I feel like God wouldn't let me do it. I just couldn't. Like, even in my own place, I could not say screw her or anything. And when I got so frustrated one night, I said, why, God? Why can't I? And clear as day, that inner voice said, because I didn't create you that way.
So good. So good.
I will take care of your battle as long as you give it to me. And so the battle is not, and the battle for me was not him doing anything to her. It was protecting me through the whole process. Yes. And at the end of the process, though I heard it and I wanted my marriage and everything else, I finally started to see that this was a blessing. And the blessing was, now I'm allowed to grow in the person that I'm supposed to be and do the things that I was designed to do. And everything that I lost, I truly, truly believe this with all my heart, that everything that he took away, he'll be able to give back twofold, because I couldn't live in the purpose that he created me as long as I was with her And for her, the same, possibly as long as she was with me.
Right.
And I
Right.
accepted that. And by accepting that, I have no ill will and I am able to function better, but that's because I had people. So the most important thing, and the Bible even speaks of this, but the most important thing that men and women have to find is that one person or that two people that will be a champion for them, that will coach them, but that will also tell them when they are messing up.
Yes.
You need that. And that's the part. And we have gotten to a point now in society that we won't do that because we're too afraid of hurting each other's feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes, Tammy, you gotta say, you gotta call me an idiot for doing something that's idiotic. And I have to accept that,
Yes.
you know, because
Yeah.
that's being a true friend.
Exactly. I just today, I have a friend and her and I were talking and we're really close friends like that. And I said to her, I said, I love you because, I mean, I love her because I love her, but because she does call me out on my bullshit. She'll call me straight out like, wait, what did you just say? What are you going to go do? You know what? And I need that person in my life. We all do. Like you said, I don't have 10 people that know all the things, but I have two people that I can go to and talk to at all times of anything. And they're going to advise me. They're going to help me. You know, I might take some of it. I might not take some of it, but to have those people in our lives is very important, you know?
Yeah. I lost, you know, with it, I really and truly lost a part of me, right? So I thought, right? I lost a part of me, and that's how I viewed it. I lost a part of me. I will never be the same. I am empty. I'm this. It took prayer. It took work. It took affirmation. It took me going away for myself. It took me meditating. It took me praying. It took me fasting. And it also took me looking myself in the mirror and saying, you're bigger than this. You're better than this. You know, and you're a former athlete. Why are you tripping? You gotta, this is where pride can help. Okay. When it says, when you don't allow yourself to fall victim, right? And you gotta refuse to be that. There's no room for being a victim because once it's happened, it's happened. You can soak for a day or two, but you gotta get up and you gotta move. And I am so grateful because now in this particular time of my life, and I hope for anybody that have found their way out, that they can honestly and truly feel like they have evolved enough to where they understand themselves and be their authentic self. And by being their authentic self, that's the only way God will bless you and give you the things you want. When you operate as someone else who you're not meant to be, how can he bless you? Because he don't even know who you are.
Exactly.
I mean, well, he knows, you don't, but he knows.
Right. It's as we're talking about this today, the thing is that the two of the points that you just said, I've been talking about to people for the last week and a half. And it's just funny that it evolved into this conversation because I've been telling people, for one thing, the whole victim thing, right? You cannot live in your past. You cannot live there. You can sit there for, like you said, a minute and be like, oh, that happened to me, right? Or whatever. But there's nothing you can do to change it. So what you need to do is figure out a way to learn from it and move on, no matter what it is, you know. And I know, like, I think I might have said to you a little bit, you know, even grief, you know, unfortunately we go through grief. Like, I lost my son at 6.5 months old, and there's nothing I can do to go back to December 11th, 1992 and change that day. I know where he's at. I know he's in heaven. So now what I have to do is figure out how to live life differently without him, but not play victim to God. Why'd you take him? You know, and that takes a lot. I get, you know, people are like, okay, Tammy, that's a lot, but that was 1992. So that was 31 years ago. I've done a lot of growth since then. But it's so true when it comes to anything that we go through, whether it's a divorce, whether it's losing a friend, whether it's your car broke down, whether you had to walk to work because your car broke down, whatever it is, you can sulk about it for a minute, but don't live there because it's not doing you any good or anybody else any good, you know? I think that's something people need to hear more. We need to be more.
I think that the one thing that if anyone were to take anything away from what I'm saying, would be that sometimes, and I think we spoke about this, sometimes we look at the problems that we face or the struggles that we face as something bad.
Mhm.
We have to change our mindset and realize that no, what happened was to get us moving.
Mhm.
Through struggle brings strength. We understand that, right? But through pain brings growth
Yes.
and movement.
Yes.
And what a lot of people do, if you're in a great situation, if you're in a good situation, and God has something for you, 10 miles down the road, but you're in a great situation, you're not moving.
Mm-mm.
You're loving this. You're going to be complacent right here.
Yes.
But right here in this chair is your gratification. It's what you want because this is it. When God says, no, I got a higher purpose for you. So you're not going to move? I got it. I'm going to find somebody to help you move. So
Yes.
let me create something to get you moving. And once you look at it as God got me moving for this reason, I got to get to wherever, and I got to trust that he's going to get there. And when you get there, I promise it will be better than where you left.
So true.
You know what I mean? It's the story of, it's like Sodom and Gomorrah when it was destroyed. And Lot was like, hey, don't look back. And they were running, and all of a sudden his wife looks back and she turns to a pillar of salt. But because he didn't look and he kept moving, he didn't even know where he lost her at.
Right.
And they got to a place where they were safe.
Mm.
So you cannot look back. And looking back is only, and you said it, you can't stay victim. You can't stay in the past. You can't stay thinking that. There is no way you can hold on to the past and try to grab to the future, because the past is going to pull you back. So as you're reaching for the future, you're being pulled. You're never going to reach where you're supposed to reach. Your destination is never going to be.
Yeah. That's so true. And so the other thing that you're talking about, which I really love, because I just had this conversation again today too, is knowing who you are. Knowing who you are, like who Tammy really is. So for years, I was the one that I, even just up until recently, I always wanted to fit in somewhere. So I'm like a chameleon, right? I could get in a group and I would fit in, but I was never really there. It was just like, okay, I'm here. Okay, I'm here. I think that's why I have so many friends, because I would just plant myself here, here, and here, and here, and here. And I always wanted to fit in, because I look back now as my healing process went, it was because when I was little, I was the girl that stood by the fence while everybody was swimming and just waited for the invite, So I know where it all came from. But now, so for years, I took care of my family. My mom lived with me until 2020 when she unfortunately passed away. But in 21, I was by myself then, with my son, who's an adult man, he's a man, and he lives on his own and all that. And then it was finally time to take care of Tammy and learn who Tammy is. And I just said to my friend Cheryl today, I said, I am just being me, like me. I love who I am, and I'm being me finally in my life at 57 years old. Finally, I am me, and nobody's taking that away from me, because I'm just going to be out loud, be proud of who I am, and know what my purpose that God keeps taking me on this journey with, and I think that's the big thing, because for years, maybe the same with you, with your years like that, I was always clouded because I was always worried about everybody else and taking care of everybody else and doing everything else, and everybody else came first. And then I put myself on the back burner, and I didn't pay attention to what God really had given me. And everything I've been through, every struggle I've been through, I can look at today as that was a gift for me.
I think one of my problems was I was never grateful. I was never grateful in the moment. I wasn't grateful making that small amount of money and trying to, because I wanted my family, her, my wife, to have more. And I always struggled with, again, pride and ego, right? That manhood of, I gotta take care, because I'm a baby boy. I'm the baby of 5 brothers.
Okay.
Right? Well, I'm the baby of 4 boys, 5 boys. And so all of my brothers, of course, being older, their families, my dad, my mom, and that's a culture that you see and that hey, I want to be, because I understand the family dynamics. I want to be that, and I never tapped into who I should be. And I always just focus on, man, I want this, I want that, I want that. And I don't think I ever asked her what she wanted and what she wanted to do. Again, I take accountability. And that's one thing. In order to heal, you got to first accept and take accountability.
Yes, for sure.
You cannot blame everybody or anybody for the mistakes you made, because you made mistakes, right? You made mistakes. Everyone has made mistakes, but you got to accept those mistakes but not be burdened by those mistakes. You just got to say, I did this. God forgive me. You pray how you need to pray about it, and then you get up and you don't do it no more.
Right. Yeah.
And you go. I told one of my friends the other day, I am different. I am different than you. I am not different than you, but I am different than you. Like, I am no different than you, but I am different than you. And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we are made the same, like, blood, bones, all that, right? Teeth, all of that. But I am different because where I am and who I am and who I'm going to be is not the same as who you're going to be.
Right.
And so I can't try to be you.
Right.
And that is so important that people understand that just regardless of how people may look at you, they may look at you as weird. They may think that, you're an idiot. But if you trust and believe in you, the one thing they're going to always wonder is how in the world you're being elevated, right? How you're being elevated and they're stuck. And it's only because you are actually living and understanding who you are, and you're trusting in who you are, and you're also believing that God loves you for who he created you to be. And I think that's the most important thing. And if we can all get to that point, I think we will be better off. Regardless.
Yeah, that's so true. And something else that you said in that little bit, not a little bit, but gratitude, grateful. I think we said this the other day when we were talking on the phone, like just grateful that you can walk outside and take a breath and look around and see the things that we have, and I just said this at my event the other night too, when I was talking, I said, we get up in the morning. If you don't think you have anything to be grateful for, well, first off, you took a breath and you opened your eyes. So there's two things to be grateful for. And if you don't think you have anything to be grateful for, look at your thumbs, because you're grateful you have those, right? And there's just so many little things you can look at to be grateful for. And there's so many big things. And I challenge people there. I said, if you're not grateful and you're not happy and you don't love your life, then I challenge you for 30 days to wake up every single day and say at least 3 things, or write 3 things that you're grateful for. And if you don't feel better after those 30 days, you and I will sit down and we'll have a talk and we'll do some more counseling or something. But I almost promise, if you do that for 30 days, something's going to change in your mindset, because it's all about, like you said earlier, once we start changing this, other things start changing.
Absolutely. And everybody has said it. I mean, I know some of the things that you and I have discussed tonight are something that's regurgitated more than once, right?
Yes.
So the thing is, it doesn't have to be regurgitated if people actually utilize it.
Yes.
But we see every day that there's people that are not utilizing, and they want to be victims. They want to be stuck. They don't want to evolve. And I'll tell anybody, as great as your podcasts are and what it's for, helping other people to elevate, it won't work. It's not for them. It's going to be for people who want it, and they're going to open their ears up and listen to it. And those are the ones that you're going to affect.
Yes.
And it's sad because every day we see those who are not listening.
Yes. Yes, we do. We do. But all we can do is just keep going, right?
Right. And we can be the example. We always got to set the example. I think every individual that's on this earth is here to teach.
I agree.
Not necessarily by words. Sometimes it's by action. Sometimes it's about, what we gain out of life and prosper out of life. And sometimes it's just, it may be by this podcast, it may be that. It may be by entertaining. It may be by saying. But we're here to teach and we're here to help. But the one thing is we have to be willing to learn. I have to learn from you. And in their struggles. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's very important. And one of my biggest things that I tell people are just be kind. Can you just be kind to other people? Just smile at someone. You never know what their day is like. Maybe you could just give someone a smile, and you never know what that could do for somebody. I don't know what made me just say that, but for some reason I just said that. And maybe it's somebody that's listening to this, that, there's times when I think of someone and I call them or I text them, and I had an instant, and for some reason, I'm talking about this right now. I don't know why, but it must be a reason. So I had a friend of mine that she came, I saw her Facebook post, and it was nothing alarming. I was just like, oh, I haven't talked to her in a while. And I sent her a message, just a text message. I said, hey, just saw your post. How you doing? And she said, now here's an instant like what you had on that road. She said, thank you so much. She's like, I love my son so much. I'm going through a divorce right now, and I was sitting on my bed right now contemplating suicide. And your message just reassured me that that's not what I should do. And now that was 4 years ago. Now she's living life and everything's better. But it's that, we need to, just like you said, just be kind to people, reach out to people if we need to. If you feel like somebody's on your heart, then maybe message them. You never know. It could have been that day that you were driving down that road and you could have got a message from somebody. I've been in those days where someone messaged me and I'm like, ooh, that was a perfect time to call me because I was having a breakdown, for some reason I needed to talk about that. So somebody must need to hear this on the podcast. So,
Right.
but like you said, we can't help everybody, and everybody's not willing to be helped. And, and that's hard. I have my sister is one of those people, like she struggles with addiction, and I try, and then I had to let it go. I had to sit back and detach. She went to my event on Monday night, and she said afterwards, and if this is the only blessing that come from my event the other night, which I know there were so many more, she said, I think I'm going to start going back to church. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And then she messaged me today and said, do you think one of those ladies that spoke the other night will pick me up and take me to church? I mean, that to me was huge, and it was just a good feeling. And that's what I'm hoping that Hope does, and hearing our stories, and speaking them out loud, Andre, because so many people won't share their stories.
Because again, pride, ego.
Right.
If you become afraid of how other people judge you, then you miss the whole boat.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not their judgment that make you or break you. It's God's. You know what I mean? And he may want you to share. He probably needs you to share. Well, first of all, he's gonna want you to share. He's gonna want you to share that story because it's a testimony, right?
Exactly.
And if he brought you out of it, the only thing he always wants is us to praise his name and give him the credit.
Yeah.
So, I can't see why someone wouldn't, but yes, you have people that don't. And that's because they don't understand and they miss the boat.
Yeah.
But one thing I did want to say is for anybody that's out there right now who are indecisive about something that is really, really important, seeing a therapist.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you.
You go to the doctor for checkup for your stomach, your back, your ankle, your heart, your lungs, everything except for the main engine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go and get checked. Go and talk to somebody. Yes. Your mental health is so important, right? Your mental health is important, and it'll help you get through whatever it is that you may not even realize you've had that has been traumatic.
Yes.
And do the work.
Right. That's a big thing. Do the work. I'm glad you said that. Do the work.
Do the work, Yeah. So anybody that's not thinking, or thinking or wondering what people are going to say, what family is going to say, first of all, it ain't none of their business.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, if you decide to do it, it's confidential.
Yes.
And thirdly, if you say that, you know what, I may not have the money, they will work with you if you don't have the money. They will figure something out. Yes. Okay. So there is really no excuse. Sit down, talk to a professional, and get the help that you need. So for anybody listening to this, I'm telling you, it would be better than the lottery, because you can win the lottery and your mental is messed up. You still ain't going to enjoy it. So it's better than winning the lottery. You just might want to just get your head right.
I agree. That's a great thing to end that on too, because of, men's mental health, like we said, everybody's mental health is so important. And when you said that about doing the work, my sister, another example is she's been going to a counselor, I don't know, for years. And I'm like, maybe you should start seeing a new counselor. This was a while ago. She got angry at me and I was like, she's like, my counselor is really good. I just don't do the work.
Ah,
Right. So that's true, and I talk to people about that too, because they're like, well, I've been sober 19 and a half years and I am a happy person and I'm living life and I live life out loud. And they're like, well, and I'm like, listen, I didn't get here yesterday. It was work. It's been a journey for 19 and a half years to get here, and I say to people too, like, I've read this and I've heard this. The biggest bully that we have in our entire life is ourselves.
yes.
Would you sit on a park bench next to a person and say the things that you say to yourself to that person? Most of the time, I mean, now I would, because I say nice things to myself, but back in the day, no, and I think people need to realize that. And when you talk about our mind is the biggest thing. Like you said, go get your mind checked. Forget your belly. Your belly hurts because your mind's not right.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's a lot of, my mom went through a lot of issues with her mind and her whole body, the stress and everything. It just, basically killed her because of all that. So your mind is very, very important. So I am so happy we did this today.
I am too.
Awesome.
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me. It's been an honor again. All right. And yes, you do have a friend for life and I appreciate it. Totally. All right.
Awesome. Is there any last things you want to say to anybody?
I just want to tell anybody that's out there to listen to this again, seek the help that you need, be inspired, read books, talk to somebody, just whatever you have to do it for you, because it's about you. All right. This is your life. You live your life how you live your life, nobody else. So for anyone out there, I just, want them to continue to be inspired, listen to inspirational things, turn off the negative talk, turn off the negative voices that you hear, whether it's radio, social media, all those things, and literally just tune in, tap in, and sometimes get in a space where you can just say, ask God a question and just sit there. Maybe that might be the most powerful thing that you will ever experience, but you will experience something if you do it.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Everybody, I thank you so much for tuning into Hope again. Like I said, my name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is helping other people evolve. Let us know, what you thought of this tonight. And I'm just excited and blessed and honored to be able to be on here and let people share their stories of hope. So you guys all have an amazing day and we will see you all soon.